News Talk 970 WKHM at 9:36.
And Mark doesn't
Is that
know
that's
it.
the wrong
That's the wrong theme
I'm
song.
sorry.
So
Well,
everyone's confused. They don't really know the show's on.
I never listen to the show because I'm always in the background, which you can see.
Right.
on
If
the
people
show.
would go to our website, they could
Right.
see you too.
I can.
And that's like a double benefit, don't you think?
What? Seeing all of us in one shot,
and
they
then
get to
you.
see me work?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Maybe that's
guess. I guess. I'm not
Maybe that's a
doing anything
rarity.
except reading.
Yeah. Bill doesn't like this chit-chappy.
No, you're fine. What are you talking about? I'm more than happy.
He's more
to-
serious.
Does he not know that I'm behind you guys during
No,
the show?
he doesn't know
All right.
that.
Sometimes it's been a while, but sometimes I wave.
Do you really?
It's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah. And I always watch the show.
Do you?
Yeah.
From start to finish?
Yep.
Okay. Like I said, I'll do it next time.
Okay, do it next time so I
Next
can
week,
see you.
I'll wave.
Uh-huh.
No,
Maybe do a little jig.
No obscene gestures. please.
No,
All
of
right.
course not. I'm not that kind
He
of guy.
doesn't go like this and put the
Yeah.
rabbit ears
very
behind
good.
Bill's head.
No, I wouldn't do that
Uh-huh.
at all. Anyway, so thinking real estate.
So Greg's on vacation.
He is.
I hope he's having a good
I
time.
hope he's sleeping in, but he just texted me.
Is he listening?
I don't know.
Text.
If he's
Text Mark if you're listening,
all
Greg.
right.
Because I don't have
Let me
my
turn
phone
this
won't turn
off.
on.
So I can,
So.
if he's listening, I doubt he's listening. He's probably hibernating in his man cave.
So, if you have any questions, they call 787-3397.
That is the direct studio line for
Uh-huh.
thinking real estate.
So I didn't tell Bill what we were going to talk about. I was going to surprise him.
It's all of us then.
That's right, exactly. You know what? We're not
Does
used
Greg
to
ever
talking.
contribute to the show, or is
Oh
he just
yeah,
gonna
he's awesome.
sit back here and fall
yeah.
asleep?
Do you have any
Okay.
questions?
I don't know what we're talking about yet.
Well, real estate
I
or
don't have-
lifestyle. This is a lifestyle.
Is it a lifestyle show
Yeah,
too?
exactly.
I don't have any questions right
No
now.
questions.
But I'll jump in.
Not if it's a lifestyle show, neither Mark nor I have a lifestyle. It doesn't exist.
I don't have a
Well, you have a
life.
lifestyle. It's just
No.
one that maybe other people wouldn't want.
I could, yeah, there you go.
Mine's nothing but work. So
I'll give you the what not to do lifestyle.
Oh, okay. So here's my question. We learned yesterday, and I'll keep the names anonymous because it has not been confirmed, that a friend of ours is getting married, and she has a son, and he's got children. So my question is, when two people are joining households, what type of things would they have to take into consideration on the deed to make sure their assets are protected for their children? In case something happens.
Are you asking
I love
me
that
that
reaction.
question? Or are you asking?
Well, you know,
Mark?
there's different ways to hold title,
right.
and when you and I got married, we're husband and wife by the entirety. So if you pass away,
Yeah,
I
but-
get everything.
Yeah, you own everything already.
So I guess
what
I'm
is the
assuming
difference?
the couple is moving into a new home together.
I would
Yeah,
assume
getting
that
married.
too. Yeah,
Okay,
they're getting married.
Combining two
Well,
households.
oftentimes when you're talking about a situation like this, it's like a second or third time around marriage, and one
Which
might
is-
move into another person's
existing house.
An
Yeah,
existing house. Right?
yeah. Well, I would assume they're gonna probably sell.
Okay.
I would assume they'll sell her house, move into his. I don't know.
Okay, you do understand I'm not a domestic relations lawyer, matrimonial lawyer, but,
Yeah, but
the most important thing is obviously do a prenup agreement so that if you are going to combine your assets in any way, that you've got an agreement that says upon death or dissolution of the marriage, I don't mean death of the marriage, I mean death of one of the parties or dissolution of the marriage, it's set in writing as to who gets what is to be done, etc. So that the children of the one spouse, the estate of their parent passes to them, the estate of the other parent passes to that parent's children, and they have to talk about it. And these are issues that, again, divorce lawyers or matrimonial lawyers will tell you most people avoid these topics. It's like a lot of things. They just won't talk about it. They ought to. They ought to sit down and have a heart-to-heart, talk about the economics. The other thing that you find out is that one spouse has debts and doesn't have the same sort of credit score, credit worthiness, or creditability as the other one, and they have to have a candid conversation about that too, because the other spouse doesn't want to all of a sudden have a burden on his or her shoulders. These are things
You know,
that they ought
that's
to talk
interesting
about.
you say that, because I've said to a couple of my clients, you should marry for credit. For credit score. Marry someone for their credit score.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, Laura. Yeah. Yeah.
It was a joke.
Okay. Is that why you
joke.
married me?
Yeah, for your credit score.
Are they gonna start putting that on the online websites now?
Yeah, married
Yeah,
for credit
here's
score.
my credit
Score.
I'm
Yeah,
a Scorpio and I got a really good credit score.
that's right. Exactly.
But if they're gonna hold if they're gonna hold property together, all right. Let you want to switch from lifestyle or something serious. Okay. If they're gonna hold title of property together, the most likely way they're gonna do it is as tenants in common. They'll have a prenuptial agreement, or they'll at least have an agreement as to what's going to happen to the property. They'll probably hold it as tenants in common, so that upon the death of one spouse, the interest does not automatically go to the surviving spouse. It will go however that now deceased spouse wants it to go, per his or her will or his or her trust agreement. That would be the normal. If they're in certain circumstances, they might decide that they're going to hold it as tenants by the entirety, which means it's held as husband and wife. It's important to realize that if a husband and wife acquire property, it will automatically be deemed under Michigan law as tenants by the entirety. The interest will go to the surviving spouse unless the deed expressly says that it's some other form of tenancy. So they can't just go to the web and get a form deed and say this is what we're going to do. They really need to talk to a lawyer who knows matrimonial law, as I say, in the first instance, and real estate law in the other.
So what happens if she's got kids, he's got kids, they get married and they have a kid? Is there special, is that something spelled out in how they do a will, or is that something that you would have to define within a deed?
Well,
both,
again, if someone dies without a will, we have what's called the statute of descent and distribution, which dictates who gets what portion of the decedent's estate. You can preempt the statute of descent and distribution entirely by having a will or by having a trust, so you can dictate who's going to get what. The child of the two spouses together, and what the children of each spouse individually are going to get. Again, these are things that you have to sit down and talk about. Otherwise, you leave it up to the state of Michigan to decide who's going to get what, and it probably doesn't jibe with what the parties want to do.
Yeah, and I run into a lot of people don't even think about it. Not that they don't want to address it, that they don't even think about it as an issue.
You know, they don't want to address it. Nobody likes to think about what's going to happen upon my death. That's something you just sort of put off.
Well, the other thing, I think it's easier to, first of all, I think it's easier to talk about that when you're young. When you're our ages. When you're young.
Thanks. I just signed up for Medicare the other day, so she's just jabbing me a little bit here, okay?
Oh, did you sign up?
I did, yeah.
Oh, okay. That was quite a task. But anyhow,
Well, I've got so many things I want to say, but, far be it for me to ever be offensive, so I'll just let it go.
Oh, well, we don't mind.
You can be offensive. It doesn't bother us.
No, go right ahead with the show.
I forgot where I was.
Yeah, I was going to say being offensive. She's a city council person, so she hears it all. I'm a lawyer, so I hear it all.
And I guess I have to take more than I
worry.
would have normally taken, so.
And as a city council person, she can't give it back. As a lawyer, I can give it
That's
back.
right. Yeah, that's right.
That's exactly right.
So they could have found me and then I'll just tell him
You
what
get
they
paid
said
a lot
and then
more an
he
hour
can
to
say
take it.
something.
That's for sure. At least I charge more an hour. Whether I get paid for it or not remains to be seen.
The other thing I'm seeing a lot is parents buying a house with their child so that their kid can take advantage of the help. They need the co-signing to get the mortgage.
They can co-sign it, but if the parents hold title, they're not going to get the PRE, the personal residence exemption. The only way you can get the PRE, the personal residence exemption, which is an 18 mil break for every $1,000 worth of valuation, is if you own the property. You can't even hold it in a family trust. You can't hold it in a family limited partnership. There's a recent Court of Appeals decision that says it's got to be a person, an individual, and you have to actually own that property. So if the parents buy it, I actually have a deal going on right now in which that's the case, and the parents were going to buy it, let the kids live in it. I had to advise the realtors and the parties, hey, look, if you do that, you're going to lose your 18 mil exemption. So we're restructuring it so that the child will actually own it, or the couple will own it, the married couple. And the parents are funding it. They'll take back a note and a mortgage, so that addresses the PRE, because it's a big break. Getting the personal residence exemption is a big tax break.
So if I own a property and it's Laura Dwyer Trust, I can't get
Can't get the PRE.
Do you know how many properties are out there with that?
The decision's about 2 years old.
Seriously?
Would I kid?
So how do, if I want to, and I don't know the estate, I don't know why someone puts it in their trust.
They put it in a trust because it's a way to avoid having your property go through probate or to having it go by operation of law as tenants by the entirety or joint tenancy. You set up a trust. You can do it as what's known as an inter vivos trust, a trust in which I put my assets today, or I can have it as a testamentary trust where it actually goes through probate but gets dumped into the testamentary trust. Most people will set up an inter vivos trust. The property is then held by them as trustee. They get to deal with the property as they want, but unless there's been some decision since that decision by the Court of Appeals 2 years ago or a statutory change of which I am unaware, you gotta own it individually.
So those people would need to change that ownership of their legally.
They need to go talk to a lawyer is what they need to do. If they
Well,
hold
right.
it, if they hold it in a trust or a family limited partnership, go talk to a
But
lawyer. Don't try to do it yourself.
Our townships are they looking for that, and are they?
No, they probably don't know about the decision either.
Oh,
Or they
unless
might. I
they
don't know.
listen to this radio
Well,
show.
I take that back. The township officials, actually, the municipal officials, are generally on top of this stuff because they have wonderful organizations. The townships belong to the Michigan Township Association, the MTA, which disseminates. They have good lawyers. They disseminate information as it becomes known. They update them. Same thing is true for cities. The Michigan Municipal League, great lawyers representing them. They're on top of all this stuff, so I think I probably misspoke when I said they don't know about it. They probably do. Whether or not they're actually looking for it all the time, I don't know. But look, it's compliance with the law, and it's easy to do. Don't look at me like that.
But expensive.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
You're listening to Thinking Real Estate here on News Talk 970
If you have a
WKHM.
question.
787-3397. Direct studio line if you have a question today.
There you go.
I do this a little differently than Greg. I don't have you set up with headphones, do I?
Oh, no,
Greg
we
doesn't
don't
have
have
any
headphones
headphones.
either. No.
but you look hot in those headphones.
That's what I was going for.
Yeah, it's
Because it
working.
works. It
It's
translates
working
on the
for-
radio.
Yeah.
Especially since the camera's not pointed towards me. No,
Well, Jackie
don't
can-
get
What's
in.
the old expression? You have a face just made for radio. You know
Yeah,
that, Mark?
You look marvelous.
Okay, so I have a question.
Oh, good. You know, you really should give me some
No,
advanced
I
notice.
think this works better.
Good for you.
So if you've purchased a condo, let's talk about condos because I've got some people looking at condos. Is
That's a
there any-
condominium we're talking
A
about?
condominium. A condominium. What are some of the things that someone looking for a condo needs to pay attention to?
How much time you got?
Oh, well,
Okay. All the time in the world, just a couple minutes?
We got about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
about 6.
the first order of business is before you go any farther, take a look at the master deed and the bylaws and the rules and regulations, because there's no point in going any farther in a condo purchase if you don't agree with them. If there are things in the rules and regulations or the bylaws that you cannot live by, don't go any farther. These days, you also have to worry about if it's a new condo project. You need to worry about whether or not there are a lot of vacant condominiums, units in that condominium project. Well, I say a new condominium project, it's probably also existing ones where a lot of the units have been foreclosed on, and the lender now is in ownership. They're REO properties, and one of the significant problems that condominium projects are having in condominium associations is where the units are unsold or where the lender's taken over, they are not getting the association dues on a monthly basis that they would otherwise be getting if the condominium project were sold out and was occupied by owners who were paying their association fees. So what happens is the association is forced to impose an assessment against the existing owners in order to cover the maintenance costs. In fact, in some of the condominiums, the members, the unit owners who are there, let's suppose 30% of it is sold out, those 30% will actually start doing some of the maintenance in the condominium project. They'll start cutting grass,
oh yeah, that happened to one here
shoveling
locally.
sidewalks in order to save the cost to the association so that they can minimize the assessments. Yeah, you want to be careful with respect to it. You also Need to make certain that the condominium project, if you're going for FHA financing or other sort of subsidized or underwritten financing, qualifies for that financing, because you have to have specific approval with respect to the construction, quality, etc. of that project. So there are things in condominiums that you need to worry about that you don't need to worry about with respect to single-family residence. You also need to think about as with a single-family residence, same with a condominium, the condition of not just the individual unit, but the condition of the building in which that condominium unit sits.
Do they have enough money in
Do
reserves?
they have enough reserves? Right.
To do, that's happened also to a different condominium project in this community.
Yeah.
Where they didn't collect reserves over years.
Well, they're
and years.
required to maintain. I forget what the statute says in terms of maintaining a reserve. I think it's 10%, but that often isn't enough on some of the older projects where you got to put roofs and foundations and things like that.
Right.
And investigate. What I always tell people to do, whether it's a single-family residence or a condominium project, is go to the municipality, go to the construction department or whatever department regulates the construction and maintenance of the particular property, and see what's on the record there in terms of original construction, improvements, any notices of violation, that sort of thing. It's always a good idea to go to the municipality building department and see what's there.
If I have a dog and the
You're switching subjects on me.
No, same thing.
Okay.
If I have a dog and it's 75 pounds, but the restrictions are 50 pounds, in order for me to legally put that dog in that condo, I have to get a waiver from the association?
You probably can't get a waiver because if they waive it for you, they're going to end up having to waive it for everybody else. The only time you're going to get a waiver or be able to do it is if it's a service dog. If you have a demonstrated disability and you've got a letter from a physician that indicates that this service dog is necessary in order for you to cope with whatever that disability may be.
So if I have a golden retriever, I need it to go on a diet to weigh 50 pounds.
Good luck getting a 75-pound golden retriever down to 50 pounds. That would probably kill the dog.
That probably would put me in jail for.
But yeah, I mean, you have to look at those sorts of things.
Right.
I mean, what the rules and regulations are, what the restrictions are, and that's a very typical one, is that you can't have an animal, a dog, a pet, which is in excess of X number of pounds.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm out of questions for you, and I think we're close to out of time. There was a couple of things, statistics, though, I wanted. Jackie ran last week. 62% of our market right now, closings are cash.
No, 62% of foreclosures are cash.
Hey, before you do that,
Oh, these are foreclosures, I'm
can I say
sorry.
one other thing? I want to congratulate whoever's responsible for the new bridge over the railway.
Oh, yeah, that's
Railroad
open.
on West Avenue. I travel that. Our house is on Michigan Ave, just near the intersection of West Ave. And so I travel that every day going to Starbucks. And it's been a hassle for the last 2 or 3 months.
And
But
I've
that
heard
bridge
it.
opened up
I
yesterday.
get calls.
And they did, whoever,
From him.
is that MDOT that did that, or was it, whoever did that, they did a fabulous job. So, congratulations to MDOT and the city for doing
Done ahead of schedule too. Opened up 2 weeks before it was.
I think Laura's responsible for that,
Really?
in some respects, aren't you?
No.
No, you're not? Oh, I thought you were telling me.
If
you
I
were,
am,
but-
I like to tell you things.
That aren't true?
True.
Okay, good.
I mean, I did talk to him on several occasions about several things.
All right.
But I think those guys worked really hard and they did that. So anyhow, 62% of our foreclosure sales are cash. Average price $33,500. So last year we had 737 foreclosures, and this year to date, as of Friday of last week, we only had 457. So foreclosures are going away.
Good.
That's at least what I see. We don't have any open houses this weekend. You know, school's starting, so the market slowed down a little bit. If you're a buyer, now's the time to get out there. And I'm getting the hurry up and talk. But we do have a price reduction on 534 Commonwealth, 82.5.
Thinking Real Estate on News Talk 970 WKHM with Laura Dwyer-Schlechte, and you can check it out at thinkingrealestate.com.
Wow, nice job.
I do get a few things right every once in a while.